am traveling to Singapore tomorrow, and I thought maybe this is a good time to show you what it's like to have a travel sketchbook from start to finish, and just sort of explore the realities of actually traveling and sketching at the same time. So of course there's the sketchbook which I got. It's the Muji sketchbook. Now the whole point of this is to give myself the best chance of completing the sketchbook. Now I'm not usually a big proponent of finishing a sketchbook or filling a sketchbook just for the sake of filling it in, because this is a travel sketchbook. I want it to be a sort of self-contained little thing. It's small, it's really thin, and it's also soft cover, which means I can put it like I can put it in my pocket. Liminal days are the most productive days. Whether you're at an airport, on a plane, or a bus, these are days where there's no expectation for you to do anything except for sit around and wait. There's of course in-flight Wi-Fi, but I tend to stay away from those because then otherwise, what's the difference? I'm just on Reddit all day. This is the first true holiday I've had in a very long time. Usually when I'm traveling anywhere, I'm also working, so that gives me a lot of time to just sit down and draw. This trip, however, it's a more traditional vacation. I'm going around, I'm seeing stuff, I'm eating food, meeting people, which leaves me a lot less time to draw. A lot of the Singapore trip was spent climbing, which means a lot of it was spent falling on my ass.
Yes!
It takes some effort to find time to draw. You have to actively make time for it. A lot of it was when I was going to and from places. When I was younger, I was a big believer in the grind, that you had to work yourself to death. It did make me better, but at some point, my gains fell off a cliff. And it got me thinking about why I even brought a sketchbook with me. Was it out of habit from all those years of grinding? Have I simply confused the feeling of drawing with the feeling of feeling productive? Like, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy drawing and there's always that feeling there, otherwise I would be doing something else. But there's also that insidious feeling of like, oh, you're being lazy, you're not doing anything today, no rest days, you know, you gotta always do something. Art is a thing of passion, but also it's a thing that makes me money, and I don't want to ever confuse the two to the point where I am drawing and not enjoying it, but I still do it because I want to just make more money. And this is especially prominent as a freelancer, because if you're a salary worker, you just get paid month to month, paycheck to paycheck, that's fine. But if you're a freelancer, the effort you put in is proportionally correlated to the amount of reward you get. That means that every single thing I do, I get rewarded with something. And if I don't do it, then I don't get paid. And if I'm not doing something, I don't get paid. But if I do it and I get the money, it feels good, and I just want to keep doing it and then going and going and going, and it becomes this grind of like, when do you ever take To understand a travel sketchbook, you have to first understand its function. A travel sketchbook works differently from your run-of-the-mill sketchbook in the sense that it's kind of more like a scrapbook. It's a record of all the places you've been and all the things you've done. Think of it like the memory card of a camera. Instead of taking photos and filling your memory card, you're drawing and filling up your sketchbook. There's also other ephemera that you can stick into your sketchbook, like ticket stubs, receipts, and all sorts of other junk that you've collected along the way. Like, you kind of just have to go into this goblin hoarding mode where you're just collecting things to add into your sketchbook, whether it's a view or a specific memory that you can turn into a drawing later, or it could be just physical stuff. And at the end of the day, you're gonna have a pocket full of receipts that you're gonna stick into your sketchbook. So a really underrated thing to bring on your travels is actually washi tape. I didn't realize that until I had all this stuff, but no way to stick it in. So I just had to buy some. The next leg of this trip was to Medan, Indonesia. So I did say that airport days were the most productive days. That's true in most cases, unless you're in the Singapore airport, which there's a butterfly garden. In an airport, Wolfgang Puck. In an airport, Wolfgang Puck. In an airport. Woke up. In an airport. In an airport. Because of the amount of traveling I had to do in Medan, there's a lot less time spent drawing, which means that I had to get creative with finding time to do so. Sometimes it meant waking up a little earlier than everyone else, or sometimes it meant finishing my breakfast a little quicker so I could sneak up to the hotel room and catch up on some art. One thing I wasn't expecting was how hectic it would be. Sometimes I had to make the choice between drawing a page or sitting down and having a cup of coffee and enjoying the scenery like a normal person. It just made the trip feel a lot more chaotic because there wasn't any real downtime where I could just sit down, turn my brain off, and zone out for a bit. It's drizzling, so I think I have to call it here. There's also the pressure to fill up the sketchbook. It tends to fill up pretty quickly though once you start sticking stuff in there. I also think the overall quality of these drawings weren't that great compared to my usual sketchbooks. I mean, if you're traveling, you get to play it a little bit fast and loose. I think, again, the purpose of a travel sketchbook is not to make nice drawings, it's to record your travels. So it's more important that you're actually drawing them as opposed to making them look nice. Let's talk about some takeaways. What can we learn about travel sketchbooks? Number one is that it's really tiring. At the end of the day, I just want to come back to my hotel room, take a shower, and then play Candy Crush in bed. I don't really have the energy to sit down at a desk and like grind out a couple of pages of drawings. Making a travel sketchbook takes an active effort. Number two is that you don't really have to draw very well, not compared to your regular sketchbooks. It doesn't take that much effort to make like a simple doodle or like a scribble. A lot of the pages can be made to look a lot nicer than they actually are just by sticking stuff in it. And lastly, number three, did I manage to finish the sketchbook? No, I didn't. But if the analogy of a sketchbook being like a memory card holds true, well, you don't really take pictures with a camera just to fill up a memory card, do you? Or you take pictures to capture memories, take beautiful photos, or any of the other reasons that you would use a camera. But I still want this sketchbook to be like a self-contained thing. I don't really want to come back and draw with it after my vacation. And there's a bunch of empty pages